Almost 20 years ago, a show titled Lizzie McGuire premiered on Disney Channel about a preteen girl navigating the world around her. Created by Terry Minsky, I did watch the series when it aired, although I probably had not watched an episode since 2003. With a revival coming soon to Disney+, I was inspired to revisit the show, and I'm happy to say it holds up very well and is even better than I remember. At first glance, Lizzie McGuire mostly just seems like your ordinary show about a girl going to school and hanging out with her friends. And yes, that is the premise of the series. However, it's thanks to the clever writing and the charming leads that it becomes entertaining. The writers came up with a variety of episode ideas and tackled all sorts of subjects, often based on Lizzie and occasionally her friends dealing with a problem they have to overcome. While some aspects of the series are certainly Hollywood to an extent, I think the scripts were able to make Lizzie somewhat relatable. It helps that the chemistry is really good between the leads. Lizzie, Gordo, and Miranda do come across as lifelong friends, although we do see the occasional squabbles that occur. Admittedly, I'm not sure I buy Lizzie as a social outcast like the show often portrayed her as. I think someone like Lizzie would be well liked in school and hang out with more than just two friends and the occasional supporting player. Regarding the other characters, we do have the stereotypical mean girl Kate. The show never really went into detail about why Kate has such animosity towards Lizzie outside of she became popular. A few episodes attempt to show her nice side, but then we're back to status quo in the next episode. I do like Ethan Craft's development throughout the series. He initially starts out as Lizzie's crush that she has trouble talking to, but he eventually becomes just a part of the gang as the show goes on. Before I rewatched the show, I remembered Lizzie's brother being a much bigger twerp. However, he's really just kind of your typical mischievous 10-year-old. He was often saddled with the B-plot, and his hijinks often provided amusement as he got into some kind of trouble. If you really want to see Jake Thomas play someone truly hateable, watch AI Artificial Intelligence. Then there are Lizzy's parents, who play the expected roles of being embarrassing while also providing supporting guidance. Strangely, we never find out exactly what they do for a living. The father is always seen wearing a tie, and he mentions going to the office a few times, but they're somehow always home. By the way, Phil Lewis appears in a couple of episodes as the school principal. Although I'm sorry to report, he never tells anyone to stop running in his lobby. One clever device was Lizzie's inner thoughts represented by an animated version of herself appearing on screen. Animated by Deborah Solomon, these were a creative and funny way to show what Lizzie was really thinking in certain moments. In fact, the show was originally titled What's Lizzie Thinking?, which you can see on the clapper during the early episode blooper reels. I will admit, some of the editing in the first few episodes felt a tad hyperactive, but the show eventually found a good groove. Watching the show again allowed me to appreciate just how great Hilary Duff was as Lizzie. She was able to make the character endearing and handle the comedy with ease. There's a Freaky Friday episode where Lizzie and her brother switch bodies, and Duff captures his mannerisms perfectly. That really added to the hilarity of the episode. Duff also did extremely well with the scenes that required Lizzie to be emotional. In the episode First Kiss, Lizzie gets her first boyfriend, but he breaks up with her at the end. The final scene with her visibly upset about this is genuinely heartbreaking, and it's because of Duff's performance. Adam Lambert and Elaine were also very good as Gordo and Miranda respectively, with Elaine frequently giving some great reaction shots. Miranda also gets some standout episodes of her own, including the one where she develops an eating disorder and another where she stars in a school play. Something I should point out is that even though Miranda is written as Mexican, Lelaine is actually Filipino-American. I'm not sure why they did not make the character Filipino when they cast her. There is very little Filipino representation on American children's television, so doing that would have been more important than maybe the creator and producers likely realized. Lizzie McGuire was able to integrate its messages well into the storylines, as obvious as many of them were. I now want to mention a few episodes that stood out to me when watching the series. Most viewers of the show remember Between a Rock and a Bra Place, in which Lizzie wants to buy a bra, probably because it's not a plot one would think the Disney Channel would approve of. Even the writers were surprised Disney okayed it, although Pepper Ann did do a similar plot before. Meanwhile, David Carradine guest starred in the episode as a kung fu master who helps her brother with a video contest. Lizzie's father, Sam, was actually played by his brother, Robert Carradine, so there are of course a few nods to the audience referencing this. I actually remember when the marketing for Kill Bill came out, I recognized David Carradine not from Kung Fu, but his guest spot on Lizzie McGuire. The episode Gordo's Bar Mitzvah was a rare episode that touched on Gordo being Jewish, in which he is concerned he has not grown up as fast as the other boys in the school. It's good to see any American family show talk about and show respect to other religions, and this episode handled it well. Speaking of Gordo, there was also the episode Gordo and the Dwarves, in which Lizzie and Miranda get worried when he becomes obsessed with a Dungeons & Dragons type role-playing game, because we were apparently still doing this plotline in the early 2000s. Meanwhile, I was surprised to see an appearance from a pre-Spock Zachary Quinto in Party Over Here. Lizzie McGuire proved to be a massive ratings hit for the Disney Channel, and it became a major merchandising machine for the mouse. So it's probably not too surprising a theatrical release movie opened in 2003. In it, Lizzie goes on a class trip to Rome and finds out she has a pop star doppelganger. Along for the ride are Gordo, Kate, and Ethan, but not Miranda. Lelaine was apparently filming a Disney Channel original movie titled You Wish at the time. But come on, Disney could have delayed the filming of that a bit so she could be in the Lizzie McGuire movie. And you do feel her lack of presence. Nonetheless, the film has its bright spots, mainly in showing the continuing relationship between Lizzie and Gordo. I also thought Ethan got the funniest lines in the movie, and Alex Borstein is a lot of fun as their chaperone. And it is amusing how much the Lizzie McGuire movie has in common with Spider-Man Far From Home. Really, and not just because of the European class trip plot. Although, is that an actual thing in the United States? Public schools already have trouble getting funding, and yet in the movies they can afford to take their students on international vacations. Admittedly, I don't find the storyline with the pop star all that interesting, especially since so much screen time is devoted to song montages. Kate also suddenly becomes nice to Lizzie right out of nowhere. It does sometimes feel like what was intended to be Miranda's role in the plot was given to Kate and even Gordo. With that said, the final concert scene is great, helped by what an incredibly catchy song What Dreams Are Made Of is, and the filmmakers even cleverly build up to the performance by playing the song multiple times. The film also has a nice theme about Lizzie overcoming her anxieties and realizing she's more talented and interesting than she assumes. For all of its flaws, I think the Lizzie McGuire movie does have its occasional charms. Disney actually had big plans for Lizzie McGuire following the release of the film. They were already considering a sequel in addition to an ABC show that would follow Lizzie in high school. The seeds were even being planted in the Lizzie McGuire movie itself, with Alex Borstein's role as her future principal. There was even an idea to give Lizzie's animated alter ego her own cartoon show. However, Hilary Duff and Disney could not reach a contractual agreement, thus ending those plans. Even without Duff, Disney still attempted to prolong the brand. They asked Terry Minsky to create a spin-off series centered on Miranda's younger sister, with Selena Gomez in the lead role, but only a pilot was produced. Finally, after years of hints being dropped, it was officially announced that Lizzie McGuire would be revived for Disney+, with Minsky and many of the actors returning. Unfortunately, after 2 episodes were filmed, the production was put on hold, supposedly due to disagreements over the direction of the show. And then the lockdown happened, and, well, updates were quiet for a while, but some good news has finally popped up. Hilary Duff revealed in an interview a few months ago that she and Disney had reached a compromise, and that the Lizzie McGuire revival is still happening. They're just fine-tuning the scripts, and then they'll be ready to begin filming again. Whenever it ends up premiering, I will definitely be watching. In the meantime, the original series is absolutely worth revisiting. Lizzie McGuire is a delightful show with solid writing, enduring characters, and themes and messages that have aged nicely. See you next time.